The WarForgedMarriage between Queen Aeloria and the human protector. Queen Aeloria stood at the edge of the shattered Celestian battlefield, her crystalline armor flickering with fading light as the war-born legions marched across the burning plains determined to annihilate her people and seize the heart-forged crystal that kept her dying world alive. And though exhaustion clawed at her wings, she refused to kneel because she knew her realm would fall unless the ancient prophecy of the foreign protector came true. Marcus, the last surviving human of the lost Terran vanguard, had been found drifting among the ruins of a broken warship, and although the Celestians believed humans extinct, he rose from his injuries with fierce resolve and the quiet, unyielding strength of his kind. And when Aeloria looked upon him for the first time, she sensed the awakening of the prophecy that spoke of a protector whose presence would resonate with haze and ignite a bond strong enough to change the fate of worlds. He fought beside her at Lumina Plateau where molten blasts from war-born titans tore the land apart, and when a surge of infernal fire threatened to consume the Queen, Marcus threw himself into its path, shielding her with his body and unleashing a burst of radiant energy born from the fusion of their unspoken connection, and the shockwave that erupted shattered entire battalions and reshaped the flow of the war in a single instant. Aeloria stared at him afterward, her eyes filled with disbelief and awe as she realized that his presence awakened dormant powers within her power she could not summon alone. And though she tried to remain composed, her heart trembled with the dangerous truth that he was more than a warrior. He was becoming the other half of a destiny she had spent her life resisting. As the war-born armada unleashed their lunar destroyers, Marcus and Aeloria moved together from city to city, defending settlements, holding collapsing fortresses, and fighting side by side through dust, fire, and darkness. And every time their hands brushed or their energies aligned, she felt something within her pulse with ancient force, until she found herself seeking him in every shadow, every echo, every breath of shifting wind. The Celestian Council grew wary, warning her that the humans' influence threatened her sovereignty, and that the war forged bond the ancient union of life essence that few souls eternally could destroy her if Marcus faltered. But Aeloria silenced them, for she knew in her core that the human had become the brightest force in her life, the one warrior who never asked for glory, never demanded trust, yet offered both without hesitation. Marcus carried doubts of his own, haunted by the loss of his home and uncertain whether he could join with a queen shaped by starlight and ancient tradition. But every time he looked at her, he felt a warmth deeper than duty and a devotion he could not deny, and despite the weight of the prophecy, he feared only one thing, failing her when she needed him most. During the Nightfall Massacre, when the Warborn activated the Void Harvest, Aeloria was struck down while shielding her warriors, and Marcus carried her through burning crystal fields, refusing to let her light fade even as the sky shattered with storms of black fire. And in that moment he swore silently that he would never allow her world to fall as long as he still drew breath. When she awoke in the healing sanctum, she saw Marcus at her side, his armor scorched, his eyes filled with unspoken worry, and she understood then that destiny had already bound them long before the ritual could, and she summoned him to the Starbind Shrine, where the walls glowed with murals of ancient queens who united with protectors in the war-forged marriage to save their realms from extinction. She revealed the truth with steady resolve that the time had come for him to choose whether he would fight as a protector or join with her as an equal king through a bond that could either resurrect their world or destroy them both. And Marcus felt his heart thunder as he confessed the truth. He had buried that she had become his anchor, the one he trusted beyond reason, beyond fear, beyond the ghost of his past. The moons aligned overhead, bathing them in silver radiance as they stepped into the circle of radiance and reached for each other. And when their hands touched, their life energies surged into a torrent of brilliant power, forming a sphere of starlight that rose above the shrine and illuminated the entire realm with the force of their joining. And the heart-forged crystal awakened with a roar of cosmic thunder. The war-born armada sensed the awakening and hurled their final wave upon the Celestian capital, but Marcus and Aeloria emerged from the shrine, transformed, their merged energies blazing across their armor and wings, and they soared into the sky, unleashing storms of radiant fire that tore through enemy warships, shattered war-born titans, and burned through the dark iron clouds of the invading fleet. Their combined power, amplified by the heart-forged crystal, cascaded across the heavens in arcs of pure starfire, and Marcus struck with human ferocity, guided by Aeloria's ancient wisdom, while she shaped their fused essence into shields and storms that protected their people and annihilated the enemy, until the armada finally broke beneath the overwhelming brilliance of a union. When the last warborn vessel fell into silent, glowing fragments, the Celestian people emerged from shelter and watched their queen and her human protector descend hand in hand, radiating harmony, strength, and the promise of a new future. And though their union defied traditions, the Celestians felt the truth in the air as they bowed to the new sovereign couple bound by destiny and war-forged devotion. Their marriage spread across the stars as legend, inspiring civilizations to choose unity over conquest, and Marcus and Aeloria ruled with hearts intertwined by shared suffering, shared power, and shared hope, reminding the galaxy that even in the darkest wars, the strongest force was not a weapon nor a prophecy, but a love powerful enough to reshape worlds. The celestial dawn rose slowly across the recovering realm, casting a soft, pale glow over the crystalline towers that once trembled under the shadow of the warborn armada, and Queen Aeloria stood upon the highest balcony with Marcus beside her, their joined energies flickering through the air like threads of silver fire as they watched their people rebuild a world they had nearly lost to darkness and despair. Though peace had finally returned, the weight of leadership pressed heavily upon them, for uniting two civilizations, one born of ancient starlight and one born of lost human resilience, demanded more than power. It demanded understanding and trust, and an unbreakable connection between hearts shaped by war and fate. And Aeloria knew that their bond would be tested in ways no prophecy could predict. Marcus walked among the Celestian citizens, visiting the crystal forges, the healing sanctums, and the gardens that flourished beneath the radiant canopy of the heart-forged crystal. And though he was not born of their world, the people greeted him with respect, gratitude, and curious wonder, seeing in him not an outsider, but the protector whose courage had saved their queen and preserved their existence when all hope seemed lost. Yet not all hearts embraced change so easily, for the high Sim Mathis whispered that the WarForgedMarriage, although powerful, risked altering the ancient balance of celestial energy, and he feared that the human essence within Marcus would slowly shift the queen's celestial nature, causing unpredictable consequences for their lineage and their world. And these whispers spread through the halls of governance, stirring unease. Aeloria heard the murmurs, but she remained steadfast, her gaze unwavering, as she reminded her council that strength was born not from isolation but from unity, and she pointed toward the heart-forged crystal, now brighter than ever, pulsing with renewed life, as evidence that the bond had strengthened their world rather than weakened it. And despite their concerns, the council could not deny the undeniable glow blooming across the sky each day. Marcus felt the tension building, but he trusted Aeloria's wisdom and chose to train tirelessly with her warriors, mastering the art of Celestian combat and blending it with human techniques, forming a new style known as the Twin Radiant Path style that symbolized their merged destinies, and soon warriors across the realm adopted it as a symbol of unity between two worlds that once stood galaxies apart. However, peace never lingered long in a galaxy forged through conflict, and one fateful night a tremor pulsed through the heart-forged crystal, shaking the towers and echoing through the skies like a distant cry, and Aeloria immediately sensed that something ancient had awakened, something older than her kingdom, older even than the first Celestian queens who had carved their civilization from starlit stone. She and Marcus descended into the depths beneath the crystal, where the air shimmered with threads of time, ancient runes glowing with warnings left by queens who sacrificed everything to protect the future. And as they walked deeper into the chamber, they discovered a sealed gateway woven from forgotten energy, and etched with a prophecy that neither had ever heard, for it spoke not of salvation, but of a great reckoning born from the merging of celestial and human essence. Marcus read the inscription with growing unease, as it described a future where the war-forged bond might ignite a force capable of reshaping entire galaxies, and Aeloria felt a shadow of fear touch her heart, for though she trusted Marcus completely, she wondered whether their union had awakened something far greater than destiny, something that might one day demand a price neither of them could bear. Before they could study further, a pulse of energy burst from the sealed gateway, illuminating the chamber with blinding radiance, and a spectral figure emerged, formed from echoes of ancient queens who ruled before recorded time, their eyes shimmering like fragments of long-forgotten stars, and they spoke with one voice echoing through the minds of all who walked the realm. They warned that an ancient enemy long thought defeated had stirred from the void beyond the constellation graves, an enemy born not of machine nor matter, but of the pure hunger of collapsing stars, the abyss-born swarm. And they had awakened because they sensed a new radiant power forged between Aeloria and Marcus, a power bright enough to challenge their eternal darkness, and therefore a power they sought to devour. The queens of old faded into light, leaving the warning etched in the minds of the living, and Aeloria felt a fierce determination surge within her wings as she turned to Marcus with unwavering resolve, knowing that their bond was not a curse but a beacon, and that if the Abyssborn sought to extinguish their united flame, then she would use that flame to burn through the void itself. Marcus stepped forward, placing his hand over hers, their energies intertwining in a surge of warmth and strength as he vowed that no ancient enemy, no cosmic shadow, and no prophecy of doom would sever the bond they fought so fiercely to forge, and he promised that together they would defend their world against the storm rising beyond the stars. They rallied the Celestian legions, forging new armor infused with a heart-forged radiant essence, and Marcus led the formation of the Radiant Vanguard, a new order of warriors trained in the twin radiant path, their blades glowing with the combined forces of celestial light and human spirit. And the realm watched in awe as Aeloria and Marcus ascended above the capital wings, an aura blazing as they prepared for the coming war. The sky trembled when the Abyssborn arrived, swirling into existence like a hurricane of collapsing starlight, tearing through the atmosphere with shrieks that bent the very fabric of reality, and their shadows stretched across the land, swallowing light, devouring energy, and draining hope from every corner of the realm as Celestian warriors struggled to hold the line against an enemy with no form, no fear, and no mercy. Aeloria and Marcus soared into the heart of the chaos, their fused power blazing through the darkness as they struck blow after blow, carving pathways of radiant fire through the abyssal swarms, and their energies combined into a storm of unstoppable brilliance. But the Abyssborn only multiplied, feeding on the conflict, swirling larger and stronger, until they formed a colossal void titan towering over the realm like a living black hole. Aeloria realized with a sharpened breath that only the deepest fusion of their bond could stand against such an ancient force, and Marcus understood instantly, without a single word spoken, for their minds and souls moved together, now bound not just by ritual, but by the raw love that had grown between them through fire and loss and destiny, and they rose higher into the skies, summoning every spark of a united power. The heart-forged crystal pulsed in response, sending waves of radiant energy through the atmosphere as the people of the realm looked upward, seeing their sovereigns blaze brighter than any star in the heavens. And with one final surge, Aeloria and Marcus let their spirits merge, completely weaving celestial essence and human heart into a single beam of pure radiant creation, and they unleashed it upon the void titan in a blast that lit the sky for leagues upon leagues. The explosion tore through the darkness, shattering the abyssal entity into drifting shards of fading star dust, and silence swept across the realm as the Abyssborn swarm collapsed, dissolving into harmless motes of forgotten night, leaving only the soft glow of victory rippling across the heavens and the faint echo of the bond that had saved the world once again. When the radiance settled, Aeloria and Marcus descended, slowly drifting hand in hand, their wings and armor still flickering with the afterglow of the immense power they had unleashed, and the people gathered below bowed deeply, tears of relief streaming down their faces as they realized their sovereigns had accomplished the impossible. They had extinguished an enemy older than time itself.